All right, today's episode is going to be fun. It should also be really useful. It should help you write more effective copy just because it's going to get your prospects' brains really lit up and engaged with your message. It's the secret ingredient that you can add to your headline so that prospects will devour your copy. And if you're watching the video version of this episode, you can see that I have a couple things highlighted. It maybe starts to tease what you are going to get in terms of this lesson. So let's start with the ABC headline formula, just as a quick reminder here of the jobs your headline needs to do. This isn't like a fill in the blank template. Instead, this is a reminder that your headline needs to A, speak to your audience in such a way that they recognize that this message is for me. This message is relevant to me. B, it should convey a benefit, right, that they're going to get by engaging with your selling message. There is some kind of benefit inherent in your message. You're gonna tell them how to solve a problem. You're gonna tell them how to fulfill a desire, and that should be communicated in the headline. And then C is curiosity. You need to provoke their curiosity. You need to spark that curiosity in such a way that the prospect is going to engage with your selling message, right? Most products cannot be sold with a single line of copy. So the headline's job is not to actually sell the product. The headline's job is to get them engaged with, to get them to choose to pay attention to the next parts of your selling message. And so your headline needs to do all three of these things, and oftentimes curiosity is the most difficult thing to do. Now, the secret ingredient that I have for you today will get your prospects to devour your copy because it provokes their curiosity. So, add this secret ingredient, it's metaphor or simile. So, metaphor is saying that one thing is another. And so, saying metaphor is a secret ingredient, having prospects devour copy, right? That is a form of metaphor. Your prospects don't devour copy literally like devouring it, like eating it until it is gone. Your prospects read copy, right? Or they listen, they watch a selling message, right? They don't devour it, but that's what a metaphor is, right? That's what gets people engaged. Simile is saying it's like something. So, your copy is like a greased chute that gets your prospect engaged and sliding straight down as fast as possible towards the sale. That's saying your copy is like a greased chute, right? Now, the thing about this, like I was going through some information on the science of storytelling, and it cited some research where they were actually doing a brain scan when somebody read or was exposed to metaphors in writing. And what they realized was that the brains were lighting up in this really interesting way because of metaphor that didn't happen when things were stated in just factual, three-dimensional, like five-sensory terms that did not use metaphor. Now, the reality is that we use metaphor all the time. Like when I say the brain lights up, the brain doesn't actually light up, right? It's a metaphor, and it's part of our common language, but being more intentional about it can make your prospects' brains light up as they are first exposed to your selling message. And metaphor has this unique power to engage our creative imagination, to provoke our emotion and our curiosity. And I'm actually going to show you a bunch of examples here in just a minute. But it can also be an efficient way to convey a benefit. So talking about a prospect devouring copy, well, if you're a copywriter, if you're a marketer, and you know the power of getting someone just to read your selling message because your offer is compelling, well, knowing that they're going to devour your copy conveys a benefit in itself, right? It presumes higher readership, and higher readership presumes higher response. Now, one of the interesting things that came out of that research was that unique and strong metaphors actually lit up the brain in much more powerful ways than things that were very common. So if I say putting the cart before the horse, you're probably not going to have that same level of excitement as something that feels very, very unique and different. And actually, in my high velocity copywriting course, one of the things that I teach the Upseen test for big ideas. And one of the things that it talks about is that your big idea, the core message, should feel unique. And one of the ways that you can make a message feel unique is with a brand new metaphor. Now, I went scrolling through a bunch of classic ads that I have access to, and I grabbed a bunch of headlines here. If you're wondering how can I start to put metaphors in my ads, well, you can do it in little ways, you can do it in bigger ways, but this might start to give you some ideas. For adults who would love to pick up their education where they left off. You don't pick up an education, but it gives you the idea of like, oh, I'm picking it up, right? Like I'm picking it up where they left off, right? It just conveys the meaning in a quick and easy way. It also makes it feel like, hey, you're not going to feel like, it's been 15 years since I've been in education and I'm a total dolt. Picking it up where you left off makes it feel like, oh, it's just an easy continuation, right? Don't pay 1 penny till this course turns you into a human computer. That's a Eugene Schwartz headline. Don't pay a penny is classic Eugene Schwartz. But this turns you into a human computer. You're not going to be a computer, right? But it presumes that it's going to make your brain work so much better, right? It's going to make your brain work super efficiently and fast and all of that, right? And it's all communicated in that. Now, the world's greatest minds force feed their knowledge into your brain automatically. Force feeding, like think about force feeding. Actually, that doesn't sound that great, except for we know that this ad works. And I think that what it does is it challenges the idea that learning has to be hard, especially trying to match the knowledge of the world's greatest minds. Well, it presumes that it's almost easy. Break all the rules and win a 35-year-old body at 50, 60, 70, and beyond. So it's a metaphor. Like, obviously your body's not going to be 35 years old, but it communicates this presumption of like youthfulness, right? That maybe if you're 50, 60, 70, and beyond, you remember having a 35-year-old body might have felt a little bit better on a daily basis. Some of the challenges that come with age weren't there yet, and winning a 35-year-old body, well, okay, interesting. How to read people like a book. Read people like a book, right? It's obviously you don't read people like words on their face, right? But the presumption is there that you're going to get all of the details from the inside. How to buy money cheap. You can't buy money, right? I guess you can exchange money, but there is something curiosity-provoking about this idea of buying money cheap, right? How to keep your money from being murdered. Being murdered. Obviously, money can't be murdered, right? But the idea that comes across is like, oh, your money is going to, for example, your investments are going to crash, et cetera. People are going to take your money, all of that. Well, it's all communicated in this metaphor. Here's a nice little Gary Bensavinga one. Shoestring businesses that you or your wife can start now and run in your spare time. He probably wouldn't have written or your wife at this time. Shoestring businesses that you can start now and run in your spare time. And this like the shoestring businesses, I guess, is the important part here. Shoestring business. It sounds so simple. It sounds so easy, like shoestring. Tying it together with the shoestring. It's very simple, right? Announcing an apprenticeship program for aspiring millionaires. Now, this one's kind of like in that middle ground, because is this an apprenticeship program? Like, what is the level of apprenticeship? But what I'd say here is I don't believe that this particular thing was actually like an apprenticeship, right? And I think that's why it was put in quotes. But it's worth noting that that I believe that this particular product basically carried that metaphor all the way through to the branding of the product. And so if the product is branded as being like something, as being equivalent to something, even if it's not exactly. So in this case, it might have been a home study course that feels like an apprenticeship program because of the amount of like personal feeling advice and stuff that you get from it. But announcing an apprenticeship program for aspiring millionaires, that's a great little metaphor and simile. Grow up to 1,426% richer in a world gone mad. World gone mad, or quadruple your money in the internet apocalypse of 2001. That's definitely Clayton Makepeace there. The internet apocalypse, right? Well, it's not an apocalypse. It wasn't an apocalypse, but he called it one, and certainly got a lot of attention for that. Clayton also wrote a famous one that I don't have here, The Four Horsemen of the Stock Market Apocalypse, right? And Clayton used a lot of Revelations imagery in his copy, especially his headlines. But the whole thing here is incredibly rich with this metaphor of the internet apocalypse. Forbidden medicine, the FDA's secret war against your medical freedom. And I have both secret war and medical freedom highlighted here. Like, what is medical freedom, right? It's an idea, right? It's an idea that captures a lot of decisions that you might be able to make or might struggle to make if this copy is true, right? But it is not like a three-dimensional thing, right, that you can touch. Secret war, right? Yeah. Cholesterol's evil twin. Prescription roulette. How to launch new products. Now, we don't even think of launch as being metaphor, right? But what is the word launch? Like, it references like a rocket launch, right? And so launching a product or launching a ship at sea, right? But it's when we launch a product, we're kind of doing that same thing. But this use started as a metaphor. California millionaire wants to share the wealth. Share the wealth. This is a metaphor, not because he's actually passing out money, right? But he wants to share how he got rich, right? So the metaphor is actually sharing the wealth, like the wealth of the information about generating wealth is captured in sharing the wealth. Ohio man discovers the secret. I would say that in most cases, secret is really used as a metaphor. Like it's not actually secret in any way, but the way that it's used in copy most often, and breakthrough is kind of the same thing, like breakthrough, right? Breakthrough advertising, breakthrough marketing secrets, not actually breaking through something, but it's used as a metaphor, right? Ohio man discovers the secret of how to escape the American rat race. Okay, we're not actually in a rat race. Like, I don't know who's ever raced rats, right? But we're not in a rat race. And how to escape, like escape here is a metaphor. Rebuild your retirement dreams. Most people aren't literally dreaming of retirement. They're just maybe daydreaming a little bit here. But this is again, just like the commonality of metaphor and simile in our language, that we use this so often that it's often hard to see the line between metaphor and literal text, right? The ultimate tax shelter. That was for a Ted Nicholas book, Tax Shelter. And I think actually Gary Bensavinga wrote that ad. Maybe I'm wrong there. But to call a business a tax shelter is like anything called a tax shelter, like it's become common language. But again, it is a metaphor, right? So that's some examples from classic ads about how you can add metaphor and simile to your headlines and to your copy in general to make it more compelling and interesting and curiosity provoking. I don't know that other people have really talked about that at all, but it definitely can make your copy sing. All right, so your call to action from this, how are you going to use this as you go forward? Are you going to think of different metaphors? Don't overdo it. Don't get lost in metaphor. But it's certainly something that you can let come out a little bit to add to the compelling qualities of your copy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more content like this delivered to you. I do content on copywriting, marketing, and business building pretty much every day. Also, I have a high velocity copywriting course. I'll include a link in the description, as well as BTMSinsiders, my streaming library of copywriting and marketing courses. All those links are in the description. I'm Roy Furr. This is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, and I'll catch you again in tomorrow's episode. See you soon. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.